In the quiet streets of Rome, beneath the shadow of St. Peter's great dome, the whispers have begun. The world watches with bated breath as events inside the heart of the Vatican unfold like a carefully written prophecy, one that few truly understand, and even fewer dare to speak aloud. But tonight, we will speak. The papacy of Pope Leo XIV has barely begun, and yet the storm clouds are already swirling around him. A papacy launched with grand ceremony on May 18, 2025, before the eyes of over 200,000 faithful souls gathered in the square. There, before the mighty pillars of St. Peter's Basilica, the world beheld the rise of a man once known simply as Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost. And with every word spoken at that sacred inauguration, he painted a vision of unity, of compassion, of service to the poor, echoing the very spirit of the Gospels and following closely in the footsteps of those who came before him. But behind the words, beneath the surface of celebration, the battle for the very soul of the Church had already begun. As Pope Leo XIV smiled for the masses and raised his hands in blessing, unseen forces were already aligning. Forces within the Curia, within the College of Cardinals, within political powers both inside and far beyond Vatican walls. Forces that now test his resolve, his purity, and his divine mandate. Forces that may soon expose a plan that could change everything we thought we knew about this papacy. And at the center of this unfolding mystery stands another name, one whispered in both reverence and concern. Cardinal Luis Tagle. Once the face of hope for many in Asia, now elevated once again by the Pope himself to the powerful and ancient suburbicarian See of Albano. A title bestowed on May 24, 2025, but one that carries far more weight than it seems. For with Albano comes history, and with history comes power, influence, and secrets that date back to the very roots of the Church itself. Why has Pope Leo XIII drawn Cardinal Tagle closer? Is it loyalty, strategy, or something deeper? Something that only a chosen few truly comprehend. Even as the Holy Father has moved swiftly to carry on the mission of mercy, he finds himself navigating the treacherous waters left behind by decades of scandal. Long before his election, Leo XIV earned respect for his fearless confrontation of the deeply corrupt Sodalitium Christianae Vitae in Peru, dismantling its leadership, comforting its victims, and purging a cancer that had infected the Church from within. Yet, as the world applauded his courage, new shadows crept forth. Allegations of a separate 2022 abuse cover-up in Chiclayo now haunt him, threatening to stain his early reign with suspicion and controversy. Supporters claim it's nothing more than a coordinated attack from those seeking revenge, from those whose power was stripped by his bold reforms. But the rumors persist, whispered in the corridors of Vatican offices, repeated in secret gatherings, passed like forbidden knowledge between the few who dare to believe that something darker still lingers beneath the surface. And then, there is Castel Gandolfo. On May 30, 2025, Pope Leo XIV visited the ancient papal residence, a place heavy with symbolism, mystery, and history. Once the refuge of popes, then abandoned as a museum under Pope Francis, Castel Gandolfo has now become the stage for new speculation. Will Leo XIV restore it to its former purpose? Will it become his private retreat, a place for secret councils, for silent prayers, for decisions that will shape the fate of the Church in ways the world is not yet prepared to witness? Or is it merely a symbol, one piece of a greater plan, not yet fully revealed? At the same time, in a move that has left many stunned, the Vatican's digital voice grows stronger. Official accounts for Pope Leo XIV have appeared on the platforms of this age, X, Instagram, signaling a papacy that reaches into the living rooms, phones, and souls of millions across the earth. But behind these images and words, who controls the message? And more importantly, who influences the messenger? It is here that Cardinal Tagle's role becomes even more unsettling. A man seen by some as the chosen vessel of continuity, the bridge between Pope Francis's radical compassion and Pope Leo XIV's unfolding vision. Publicly, Tagle has called Leo XIV a missionary shepherd, a leader who listens, who walks with the suffering, who will not abandon the poor. But beneath these words, one must ask, is Cardinal Tagle merely offering praise? Or is he protecting something far more delicate, far more dangerous? For within the ancient walls of the Vatican, not all are celebrating this papal path. From the shadows of conservative circles, unease has begun to spread. Some whisper that Leo XIV's past critiques of political leaders like Donald Trump reveal a dangerous leaning toward progressive ideologies that threaten the traditional order of the Church. Yet these same factions now watch with cautious curiosity, as Leo XIV maintains certain ancient rituals and respects traditions that Pope Francis sought to reform. Is this the calculated balancing act of a master strategist, or the unpredictable dance of a leader navigating forces beyond even his own control? And then, there are the rumors, the conspiracies, whispers of portals, of hidden tombs, of apocalyptic signs surrounding the 2025 Jubilee year. Sensational voices have filled the internet with terrifying claims that the Pope would open gateways to ancient forces, or even awaken Lucifer himself beneath the stones of Rome. These stories have found their way into chat rooms, podcasts, and videos consumed by millions desperate for answers in a world slipping into chaos. But as scholars calmly debunk these wild claims, pointing to the historical misuse of the name Lucifer in ancient texts, another unsettling reality remains. While these conspiracies may be false, they reveal a hunger, a spiritual vacuum, a growing fear that the world is indeed moving towards something monumental. Could it be that the spiritual warfare is not found in portals or tombs, but rather in decisions made behind closed doors, in alliances being formed, in silences being kept? And so the question rises higher than the Vatican dome itself. What is the true plan of Pope Leo XIV? What secret counsel lies between him and Cardinal Tagle? Are we witnessing the rise of a divinely appointed reformer, or the early steps of a crisis that will shake the very foundations of Catholicism? Will the Church emerge stronger or shattered? Stay with me, as what is unfolding may very well be the beginning of the storm that the faithful have long been warned would come. And now, as the hours turn into days, the attention of the faithful sharpens. For this is not merely political maneuvering, it is spiritual warfare playing out on the grandest stage of human history. The powers and principalities that once worked in secret now shift boldly, sensing the tremble of something long foretold. It is not only the cardinals, nor the diplomats, nor the political elite who are watching. No, my friend, it is heaven itself and the hosts of the unseen that bear witness to what is unfolding. Inside the marble halls of the Apostolic Palace, behind closed doors layered in centuries of secrets, the discussions are growing more intense. Pope Leo XIV has inherited more than just the chair of Peter. He has inherited the unresolved battles of generations, scandals unresolved, factions divided, and prophecies yet fulfilled. And standing like a pillar beside him is Cardinal Tagle, whose very appointment to Albano has stirred ancient fears among the Vatican's most powerful circles. For Albano is no ordinary assignment. It is one of the ancient suburbicarian sees, bound to the very structure of papal governance itself. The bloodline of power flows through these titles. To appoint Cardinal Tagle to Albano is to place him one step closer to the throne itself, should a moment of crisis or opportunity present itself. Was this appointment merely ceremonial, or is it the beginning of a succession plan already whispered in hushed tones among those closest to the throne of St. Peter? Some within the Curia believe Tagle carries within him the progressive torch, lit by Pope Francis, one that calls for reform, inclusion, and a church that leans into the wounds of the world rather than retreating into its fortress. But others see in him something far more dangerous, a man who could bridge the gap between East and West, between tradition and revolution, and usher in a form of Catholicism unrecognizable to those who have guarded its walls for millennia. And as this tension grows, so too does the pressure upon Pope Leo XIV. The accusations surrounding his past in Peru, once believed settled, now resurface at the most convenient of times for his enemies. The 2022 Chiclayo allegations, whether true or orchestrated, serve as a weapon sharpened by those who seek to undermine his credibility. Supporters defend him as the man who stood against the Sodalitium Christianae Vitae, dismantling its leadership and freeing its victims from years of torment. But his enemies point to unanswered questions, to silences, to shadows that still cling to his reputation like smoke in the Sistine Chapel. Whispers in Rome suggest that some within the Church have even sought alliances outside its walls, secular powers eager to see this papacy falter for their own global designs. For in this age, the Vatican is not simply a house of worship. It is a geopolitical force, a kingdom without borders, a voice heard by billions. And the one who holds the fisherman's ring wields a power that reaches far beyond the boundaries of the Holy See. It is in this volatile moment that Pope Leo XIV's visit to Castel Gandolfo strikes a chord of mystery unlike any other. Why return to this abandoned sanctuary? Why now? Some say it is nothing more than a gesture, a moment of personal reflection, but others suspect something deeper. For Castel Gandolfo was once the refuge of popes during times of great crisis, a place where private audiences and secret councils were held away from prying eyes. In its gardens, decisions were made that altered the destiny of nations. Could it be that new strategies are being formed behind those ancient doors? Strategies involving not only Cardinal Tagle, but unseen hands both faithful and treacherous. Could it be that within those walls conversations are taking place that will soon shake the very pillars of the Vatican to their core? Meanwhile, the world stares through the glowing screens of their devices as Pope Leo XIV expands his digital presence. His voice now echoes across X and Instagram, his face beaming into the homes of millions. Every post, every word, carefully curated, yet behind the smiling images, who controls the narrative? Is it simply modern evangelization? Or is it a battlefield of information where truth and manipulation wrestle for dominance in the hearts of the flock? The conservatives, though rattled by his early criticisms of world leaders like Donald Trump, now find themselves divided. For, even as Leo XIV speaks words of inclusivity, he has maintained certain ancient rituals and gestures that signal to tradition. The conservatives wonder, is he an ally in disguise, or an enemy biding his time? Is this calculated compromise or spiritual deception? They watch, they wait, and so do we. And yet, beneath all the politics, beyond the scandals, outside the catacombs of whispers, there is something even more profound at work. Something not of man, but of God. For while conspiracy theorists distract the masses with talk of portals and hidden tombs beneath the Vatican, fantasies that have been thoroughly dismissed by scholars, the real battle remains unseen by earthly eyes. It is not a battle of demons rising from literal tombs, but of spirits wrestling for control of the Bride of Christ. The Jubilee year of 2025 approaches like a great prophetic clock striking midnight. Many sense that this year will bring with it a reckoning unlike any seen before. Will it be revival, or will it be judgment? Will it be a global awakening of faith, or the great apostasy long warned of in sacred texts, and still, the alliance between Pope Leo XIV and Cardinal Tagle remains central to it all? What do they know? What secret plan unfolds behind those marble walls? Is this the dawn of an unprecedented renewal, or the prelude to a schism that will fracture the Church into warring camps? The storm has only begun. The winds howl across the 7 hills of Rome. And even now, as the bells of St. Peter's ring through the night, heaven watches. Angels stand at the ready, And somewhere, in the stillness of prayer, the voice of God is whispering to his prophets, "Be vigilant, my children. The shaking has begun." And so, as the Vatican's marble corridors pulse with ancient energy, the eyes of both the faithful and the deceived remain fixed upon the unfolding spectacle. But what most cannot see, what the cameras will never reveal, is the invisible hand guiding the course of these events. For this is no ordinary transition of power. This is a collision of spiritual kingdoms, a test of faith foretold long ago in the words of prophets and saints who saw our day in visions bathed in both glory and terror. Behind the walls of the Apostolic Palace, deeper currents move. The College of Cardinals, that ancient brotherhood of crimson robes, is no longer unified. Once their purpose was singular: to guard the faith, to defend the doctrine handed down from the apostles. But now, old alliances fracture. Secret meetings take place in dimly lit chambers. Factions rise within factions. Some speak of loyalty to Pope Leo XIV, others speak of caution, of resistance, and a few, more than the world realizes, now conspire in whispers, daring to question whether this papacy itself was truly the will of heaven or a carefully orchestrated manipulation of earthly power. And at the very heart of this division stands Cardinal Luis Tagle. He is the bridge between continents, between old world and new world, between tradition and reform, between the loyal and the ambitious. Some see him as the faithful servant, a man of humility and compassion, destined to help steer the Church into a new era of mercy. But others see something far more unsettling, a man positioned with surgical precision for a future that has already been written in secret. Why did Pope Leo XIV raise him to Albano? Why now? The timing is not random. The suburbicarian dioceses have always held a strange symbolic weight in Vatican history. They are the final stepping stones for those nearest to the papal throne. To place Cardinal Tagle, there is to declare, without words, that he stands among those who may one day wear the fisherman's ring. And yet Cardinal Tagle himself walks this line with masterful grace. His public statements are measured, gentle. His support for Pope Leo XIV is unwavering. He speaks of a church that listens, a church that serves the poor, a church that remains rooted in the teachings of Christ while opening its arms wider to the suffering of the world. But beneath his calm exterior, what counsel is being given in private? What warnings? What strategies? And for whom is this careful dance truly being performed? In the streets of Rome, the rumors multiply. Journalists, diplomats, and insiders leak fragments of information that fuel speculation across the world. Some suggest that Leo XIV has quietly begun building a new inner circle, a council of advisors loyal only to him. Others claim that certain conservative forces, fearing where this alliance may lead, have already begun exploring secret channels to counterbalance this power shift. Some even dare to whisper of a future conclave already being prepared, one that could fracture the Church beyond recognition. And yet, as all of this unfolds, the world outside watches with only half understanding. They see only the headlines, the ceremonies, the carefully prepared addresses. They do not hear the private confessions. They do not see the closed-door confrontations. They cannot feel the weight pressing down upon the souls who carry these burdens. But heaven sees, for what is unfolding now is not just political, it is prophetic. The enemy understands this well. That is why the spirit of deception has increased in these days, flooding the internet with absurd claims of portals and tombs beneath the Vatican. Distractions, diversions, meant to blind the people of God to the true battle raging behind the eye veil. The real war is not in marble catacombs. It is for the minds and hearts of billions of souls. Even the conspiracy theorists, though blind in detail, stumble near the edge of a truth they do not fully grasp, that something unseen is indeed unfolding. But it is not the opening of demonic tombs. It is the shaking of thrones in high places, thrones that heaven itself is testing. And all of this comes at the doorstep of the 2025 Jubilee year, a time that for centuries has been marked as a season of both renewal and judgment. The gates of mercy open wide, but so too does the window for divine correction. What will this Jubilee bring? Will the Church emerge purer, more united, more holy? Or will it fracture under the weight of its hidden sins and unresolved wars? Even now, in hidden corners of monasteries and convents across the world, faithful souls kneel in ceaseless prayer, sensing what is at stake. Visions, dreams, private revelations, all quietly pointing toward a season of purification unlike anything seen in living memory. And at the center of it all, Pope Leo XIV, Cardinal Tagle, the Vatican storm. And yet, even this is not the final twist. For while the Church battles within, forces beyond the Tiber are watching with predatory interest. Secular empires, financial powers, global institutions who have long dreamed of reducing the moral authority of the Catholic Church to mere irrelevance. They see in this internal struggle an opportunity, one that could finally silence the one voice that still dares to stand against the rising darkness of this present age. And so the pressure mounts. Every word Pope Leo XIV speaks is weighed by enemies and allies alike. Every appointment, every visit, every silence. Even his simple visit to Castel Gandolfo has been analyzed by intelligence agencies, foreign governments, and media empires hungry to predict the next fracture point. They do not understand that the real war is not seen with natural eyes. For the Word of God has already declared, "I will shake the heavens and the earth. I will shake all nations," and the shaking has begun.